Hello everyone, Happy New Year. I hope you're all having a fabulous day. Today I want to share my most used bags of 2018. I always like to look back to see the bags that I use the most throughout the year, and I wasn't necessarily surprised by the ones that made the list. I was more so surprised by the ones that were missing from this list. I really thought that there would be two more, but after I went back, I looked at everything. Sure enough, these are the ones that I gravitated towards the most. And they're not going to be in any particular order, except for the last one. The last one I wanted to spend a little bit more time on, and as you can tell, I am still sick. At the end of last year, I got sick, then I got better, and then I got worse. So once again, my apologies for the way that I sound, because I know that I sound super nasally. But anywho, I hope that you guys enjoy this video. If you do, make sure and give it a thumbs up, and without further ado, let's get started, shall we? First up, the Louis Vuitton Palm Springs Mini Backpack. I absolutely love this bag. I think it's super cute and it's very comfortable, and it also ends up carrying my daily essentials no problem. I know some people might be thinking, okay, it's way too small, it can only fit maybe one or two items, but trust me when I tell you, it fits a lot more than you might think. Another thing that I really appreciate about it is the fact that it does come with a color-treated leather. That way it makes it a little bit more carefree. I don't have to worry about the type of weather that I'm wearing it in. I don't have to worry about water stains or anything like that. So that to me is a major plus when it comes to the Palm Springs Mini Backpack. And another thing, probably the one detail that I appreciate about it the most is the various ways that you can end up carrying this bag. You can either use it as a backpack because it does come with two adjustable straps that are removable, or you can use it as a crossbody bag. You can use it on your shoulder, or you can hand carry it like this if you wanted to. So I really do like the fact that you're not limited to just being able to carry the bag one type of way, and it also doesn't have the one size fits all type of strap, you know what I mean? Which, as many of you know, that drives me kind of crazy. But when I first got it, I used it the most as a backpack. I really liked that it was a little bit more freeing to have it on my back. And as I said in the beginning, it's very comfortable. But I've also noticed that as time goes by, I've kind of started to get away from using it as a backpack and mostly use it as a crossbody bag. There's just something about having the peace of mind of having it kind of like front and center, you know, on my body. And I don't really like to use the straps for this as a crossbody bag. Even though they are somewhat generous, I prefer to use the removable adjustable strap that the Pochette Métis has, just because I really like the length that it gives my that it gives the bag. And I don't know, I still feel that it still makes it carefree because I don't have to worry about, you know, about any type of leather or anything like that. So I do like these straps. I think that they're very comfortable. They don't end up digging into my shoulders or anything like that. But when it comes to crossbody, I just prefer to use the Pochette Métis strap over these. But as a backpack, I still think that it's awesome. Now, I know some people had said that this bag might not be as popular this year or when it comes to mini bags in general, especially because you see a lot of fashion houses coming out with larger handbags, and I am all for that because I absolutely love big handbags. But even if this bag is not as popular as it once was, I still see myself gravitating towards it just because of the points that I just gave you. But if you are thinking about getting this bag, I really feel that you would enjoy it just because it has so much to offer, you know, and I think it's truly one of the best bags in my collection. Let's go from one extreme to the other, shall we? Next up is the Chanel Deauville. This is in the large size. It is in the gray raffia with the black leather and the silver hardware. Now this bag really ended up surprising me last year, and it was crazy to see how often I ended up using it, especially during the spring and the summer months. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, a lot of you know that I don't really tend to go for large handbags throughout those seasons just because it gets way too hot here. I don't want any added extra heat to this area or anything like that. I really do like the raffia material. I was kind of nervous about it. I didn't know how it was going to wear. I thought that maybe at some point it would start to kind of unravel, or you would start to see a lot of wear on the bottom, and that has not been the case, and I have not babied this bag whatsoever. I've put it down on numerous surfaces that I normally wouldn't when it comes to my handbags. Like I said, I wasn't very careful, and I'm happy to see that there's not really a whole lot of wear and tear on this. I do have another Deauville that is the raffia with another material, and that one seems to be not only a little bit heavier, but I also feel that it's not as carefree as this one is. But this one is absolutely great. I mean, if you want to carry everything in the kitchen sink, it allows you to do that. It can get somewhat heavy, but I do like the fact that you have different ways of carrying it. You can put it on your shoulder if it starts to get a little bit heavier, or you can use it as a hand carry bag or on the crook of your arm. So the various ways to be able to incorporate into your lifestyle, I think, is great. I will also have to say that if you are looking to get a Deauville, especially when it comes to the large size, I definitely recommend going for a purse organizer, just because I feel that it really ends up helping to keep its shape, because otherwise it kind of starts to turn into a beautiful mess. If you end up just kind of filling everything into the bag and you set it down, it just starts to kind of melt down, and that's what I mean by beautiful mess. So the purse organizer really ends up helping to keep its shape. But overall, I think that the raffia material is very, very lightweight. Like I said, very, very carefree, and I just think it's, I don't know, it's one of the bags that really caught me by surprise, because like I said before, I didn't think I'd use it as often as I did. Staying along the same notes with totes, this next one has been my most used bag of any year. Not necessarily in the print that I'm about to show you, but still, I think that this bag is a classic. I know some people might think it's played out. To each their own, but to me, I have always seen this as one of the top bags in my collection of all time, and that is the Louis Vuitton Neverfull MM. At one point, it was the Damier Azur. That thing I put through the ringer. That was actually the first print that I got when it came to a Neverfull, and as the years have gone by, I've started to use the monogram one a lot more. I just think that it's kind of the best of both worlds when it comes to the prints, because I love the Damier Ben because it is carefree. It has that beautiful red, but sometimes I feel that the straps end up digging into my shoulder. I love the Damier Azur, but it can be a little bit, you have to be a little bit careful with what you're wearing so that you don't get color transfer on that beautiful Damier Azur. But with the monogram, like I said, it's the best of both worlds, because you have that carefree canvas. You don't have to worry about, you know, getting any type of color transfer, and the straps are very, very comfortable. You know, and I know some people aren't too crazy about this this bag because of the lack of security. You don't have a zipper closure or anything like that, but you can end up cinching the sides. That way it gives you a little bit more peace of mind. But when it comes to totes, I mean, even though I do love the Deauville, this is by far my #1 when it comes to it, because it's very, very lightweight. It's very, very comfortable, and I can still end up carrying everything and the kitchen sink plus someone else's kitchen sink, and it doesn't get too crazy heavy, you know what I mean? And it's very, very spacious as well. Sometimes I do end up using a purse organizer. Mostly I don't, just because the canvas itself lets it kind of keep its shape. I don't have to worry about that beautiful mess that I had with the Deauville. But I mean, I think that this bag ends up speaking for itself. And I don't know about you guys, but like I said, this is by far my #1 tote when it comes to totes. If someone asks me, you know, what's a tote that you recommend, I will always say that it's the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. Whether you go for the GM, I know a lot of people like, you know, that one's a little bit more spacious. I prefer the MM just because it's kind of smack in the middle. The PM I also like, but the one thing about the PM is that the straps end up being a little bit shorter, and I found it to be somewhat uncomfortable whenever I go to put it on my shoulder. I have tried it on at the boutique, and I can't necessarily end up wearing a thicker coat or anything like that, because the straps are not as generous as they are on the MM or the GM. So I thought I'd throw that out there just in case. But yep, absolutely, like I said, the Neverfull has always made it onto my top or my most used bags of any year. Now this next bag is kind of like my Neverfull in the sense that it's one of my most used bags of any year within the last couple of years, or since I've had it in my collection, and I like to call it my game changer. And that is the Louis Vuitton Pochette Métis. I absolutely love this bag, and the reason why I call it a game changer is because a few years ago, when crossbody bags really started to become popular, I wasn't the craziest about them, you know? I was either a shoulder bag type of person or I was a hand carry type of person. And even though I did appreciate the entire detail of a crossbody bag, I didn't necessarily think that it was for me. And it wasn't until I got this bag that I really saw what it brought to the table. And I know that this bag has a lot of quality control issues, and I am definitely not a stranger to it, considering that this is my second Pochette Métis. My first one had a lot of glazing and cracking on the flap here on the varnish, and after they replaced it with this one, I haven't had any problems since then, and I've had it for, I believe it's 3 years or maybe a little over 3 years. And like I said, no issues whatsoever. And after I go to use it, you know, when I go to store it, I'll look over the varnish just to see how it's wearing. It could be just maybe paranoia from what I had before, but it still doesn't hinder me from using this bag the way that I want to. You know what I mean? I'm not like crazy careful or anything like that. But I think that it's incredible. I know that there are a lot of mixed emotions when it comes to this bag, but again, I just like the fact that I have the compartments. I love the fact that it does come with that removable adjustable strap that you can use as a crossbody bag. You can use it on your shoulder. You know, there's just so many different things that I feel that this bag ends up offering, but I just think, I don't know, I think it's great. And it's funny because if you go on my, Instagram, out of all the bags, this seems to be the one that I end up using the most last year. You know, so it's not necessarily crazy. It's just interesting to see considering how I feel about some of my other handbags in my collection, you know? So I'm kind of like a moth to the flame when it comes to this. So when I don't want to use a tote, when I don't want to use a mini bag, when I don't want to use a clutch, I almost always end up going for the for this bag. So I see myself using it the same way, you know, throughout this year, but again, only time will tell. But I am still crazy about the Louis Vuitton Pochette Métis. The next bag I have had for almost a year, and I love it more than the first day that I got it. I am crazy about it. I grin like an idiot from ear to ear every single time that I use it. And I will go as far as saying that in my opinion, in my humble opinion, it has got to be the best silhouette when it comes to the luggage line. And that is the Celine Nano Luggage Tote. This bag is absolutely incredible. I have had two other luggage bags. I had the Phantom and I also had the Mini. I thought both of them were fantastic. They were a little too overwhelming. I didn't use them as much as I thought I would. But with this one, I mean, I use this bag to death, I dubbed it Remy because to me it looks like a robot. I know that we've talked about this before. And it's one of those things that once you see it, it can't be unseen. But it looks like a little robot, right? You have the little eyes, the mouth, the zipper is the tongue. I don't know, but I think it is awesome. And the reason why I'm so crazy about this, even though it's small, kind of like what I talked about with the Palm Springs Mini, it can be deceiving because you can still end up carrying a crazy amount of items in here. But I also like the fact that it does come with a removable strap. So that way, if you want to use it as a crossbody bag or if you want to use it on your shoulder, you have a little bit more play. Now, the only thing that I will say is that this strap is kind of like those one size fits all. So if you're a little bit on the shorter side, it can be quite long on you. So I think that the only thing that would have made this bag even better is if this strap had the adjustable option. That way, if you wanted to make it a little bit shorter, a little bit longer, you can end up doing that. But it's such a comfortable bag. Sometimes I will carry it as a little hand carry bag. It's not the most convenient, but still, sometimes I do end up wearing it that way. And the leather has been incredible. I haven't had any issues, you know, with any type of scratches or anything like that. I have been caught in the rain a few times and no issues with water stains whatsoever. So I think that's great. And it doesn't have any feet, but even with that, I haven't had any problems with, you know, with the leather wearing, you know, kind of funky down here either. And I have set it on some abrasive surfaces. And so far, like I said, I've had no issues with the way that it's been wearing over time. But I think that this bag is awesome. If you have tried the Phantom, if you have tried the Mini and the Micro, and you have seen that maybe it hasn't necessarily worked out for you. So if you do like Celine, if you want something that's a little bit more fun and still very practical, I highly recommend going for the Nano. Now this next bag, this is the one that I want to spend a little bit more time on, and it might not be the most popular from this fashion house, but I can easily say it has become my favorite from this fashion house, and that is the Chanel Reissue. This bag is absolutely incredible, and for the longest time, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, I have said that my #1 bag, my go-to bag, has been my Chanel medium large classic flap in the black caviar leather with the silver hardware. That bag has a special place in my heart, and I always end up gravitating towards it until this beauty came along. And I kind of had that feeling when I ended up picking this bag up. I believe it was in April or March last year, if I'm not mistaken, and it has got to be one of the best purchases I have ever made when it comes to handbags. It is incredible. I mean, one of the things I really appreciate about the medium large, I really should have brought it out. My apologies that I don't have other eye candy for you, but it's right over here on the shelf. One of the things that I really appreciate about the medium large is how lightweight it is. This one is a little bit more lightweight, and you can carry a little bit more with you just because of how spacious it is. It's not as stiff as the medium large, or the classic flap, I should say, but it is incredible. I love the fact that it has that distressed look to it. You know, you don't have to put it in this protective bubble. You don't have to worry about how it's going to, if it's going to scratch or anything like that. I feel like the fact that it has those little wrinkles, and the more and more that you use it, the deeper they might end up getting, but I feel that that ends up adding beauty to the bag, you know? And when I first got it, I thought I was gonna have issues with two things. Number one, the age hardware. I thought I was going to have a little bit of chipping issues, but so far, so good. No problems with it whatsoever, and I have used this bag to death. Another thing that I thought I would have an issue with is the straps. I thought that these would end up rolling off my shoulder, and it might end up being a little bit uncomfortable, but nope. Well, no issues with them rolling off or anything like that. And I mean, I think that this bag is great. It has so much history to it. Everything from the chains to the fact that you want to fold it up if you are traveling, you can do that with this bag, you know? And just in general, I feel that it's so understated, but it still makes a huge statement. I don't know if that makes any sense. It makes sense to me, but I think that this bag is awesome. And if you are looking to add this bag to your collection, and if you don't want to go through the boutique, I highly recommend going on the pre-loved market, because the pre-loved market has some incredible prices out there. I did pick mine up from Fashion File, and I was able to save a substantial amount of money, and that made me very, very happy. But I mean, this bag, this bag has been, it is such a joy to use. And if you are looking for a Chanel flat bag and you're, you know, kind of unsure about if it's too heavy or if it doesn't fit enough, or if you want something that might be a little bit more carefree, then I think that the aged calfskin and going for a reissue would be an awesome way to go. So like I said, I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this bag because I am just head over heels in love with it. And yeah, it has taken the throne of the classic flap medium large in the black caviar with the silver hardware, and it is now this beauty. So the Chanel reissue 2.55, and this is in the 226 size, or the medium size. And I will make sure and put everything on the description box below if you guys want to check it out. The last bag that I want to share with you is an honorable mention, but to be completely honest with you, it deserves a lot more credit than it gets, in my opinion. But this bag was kind of behind the scenes with whatever I was doing last year, whether it was running errands, going to work, doing this, that, or the other. Sometimes I would use it on its own. Other times I would use it with some of my other handbags, but I felt like it was always with me. And I put this thing through the ringer last year, and I am so happy that it is held up the way that it has. And I am talking about the Longchamp Le Pliage large tote. This bag is incredible, absolutely incredible. It's very spacious, it's comfortable, it's carefree. I mean, just check out the interior. You have that zipper closure so that we have a little bit more peace of mind if you're carrying, you know, things that you want to make sure aren't seen. But look at that interior. You have so much space. Sometimes I would put my bags inside of this if I wanted to be a little bit more careful, and I still had space left over, you know. So like I said, I put this thing through the ringer, and I mean, it doesn't even look like I used it, because look at the corners, look at the bottom. I was not careful with how I used this bag, and it is held up incredibly well. And so if you want a travel bag that you don't necessarily want to spend an arm and a leg on, and you know you'll get a lot of wear out of it and it will wear incredibly well, then I highly recommend going for the Longchamp Le Pliage you know, totes, because I think that they are awesome. All right, you guys, so that does it for my most used bags of 2018. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope I was able to help, especially if you're looking to add these bags to your collection. The two bags that I thought would make this list but didn't were the Speedy 25 bandolier and the monogram canvas from Louis Vuitton, and the Chanel medium large classic flap in the black caviar leather with the silver hardware, but it is what it is. I thought about doing my best purchases of 2018. I don't know if I'll be able to do that later this week. I might have to wait till next week. But if you guys are interested in seeing that, let me know in the comment section down below. But I would also love to know, what were your most used bags for 2018? If you want to, let us know. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you would like to, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red button down below and hitting that bell so you're notified when I upload videos, which is anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. And I'll see you guys later. And as always, make it a fabulous day or not, the choice is yours. Have a great day.